so glad that you have joined me today for a cafecito. How are you?
I'm good. I'm actually quite busy right now. It's of my own doing, which I'm sure we will talk about over the next, 45 minutes. But I'm good. I've had some good sleeps, so everything seems more manageable once I've had a good sleep.
Good, good. Uh, I've already told our listeners a little bit about you and have bragged about you, but I remember specifically a reel that I saw of yours pop up on my, feed, Instagram feed, and I thought, this chick is funny. She's funny. And so then I like followed. And I was like, let me keep scrolling. Let me keep scrolling. I was like, I so vibe with her. I so vibe. And I think like you DM, somehow we became like, started following each other. We talked about coffee in our DMs, and then the rest is history.
I know, it was lovely. I mean, I felt the same way when I started seeing your posts and just the way we spoke back and forth. And then we had just like a virtual coffee during COVID. And I was like, this is my person. I love this woman. We would so be hanging out all the time if we lived in the same city. And we are going to hang out one day. I know it.
Yes, I keep telling all like I've got to get my passport updated. I dream of hanging out with like my international coaching besties, and so this is the next best thing for sure, for sure. So my love, I mean, I could go on and on about you, but let's hear from you. I really want us to get to know you a little bit better, and how did you stumble into becoming a voice teacher, or was that always the chosen path? How did you start doing what you were doing now?
Yeah. So I think it's important that we note when I started singing because it was a lot later than you would think you should, quotes in quotes. I only started taking voice lessons when I was in the eighth grade, which seems like a good enough time now that I'm a grown up and a teacher, but it felt late to me at the time. But I wanted to give it a go. I had just moved across the country, and if you know Canada, it's very vast. I moved from one end to the other, and I didn't have anything to do one summer because school hadn't started and I had no friends and I didn't know anyone. So I turned to music and I started singing in my bedroom, and I just wanted to be Gwen Stefani. I didn't think that was too much to ask. Um, and, uh, and then I went to school and started hanging out with people, sang in front of them just under my breath. And then someone said, hey, you have a really good voice. You should take voice lessons. And I didn't even know you could do that. I just thought people sang, like you either could sing or you couldn't sing. I didn't know you could learn to sing. So that's really where everything started. And so as I went through junior high and high school, I started taking it more seriously and then decided I wanted to do a music degree because that seemed like the logical next step. Whether it was or wasn't, I didn't know otherwise, and I had no one advising me otherwise. So that's really what happened. And in terms of teaching, the studio that I grew up in, my teacher, she immediately hired me when I was 18 years old. So I have been teaching since 2001. You do the math.
Out to me because like that's when I like got serious with my boo, who's now my husband. So like that year for that date, you saying that, I was like, I know exactly when that was.
Yeah, totally. So I was just like a little baby teacher, 18, and I really didn't play piano very well. And I was so intimidated about teaching, but I did a lot of modeling and I taught what I knew. And oh my goodness, if I went back, I would be like, oh, but I think that's really how we all start, is we just start teaching people the things that we were taught, and we don't know better. So, of course, went through university, did education classes, had more knowledge, had more tactics to offer, and that's really how I started teaching. Now, I did not plan to continue teaching. In my head, there was no way that I was going to be a teacher. I always thought I was going to be a performer. But what started happening is my students started being very successful. Very, like when I was 21, I had students that were like winning vocal competitions, recording and doing all these things. And I was starting to have questions like, oh, you're so and so's teacher. And I was like, yeah. I mean, I didn't know it was anything, right? I had no ego. I had no chip on my shoulder about it. I was just like, yeah, I just got lucky with this one. She's really good, and then I started kind of getting a high off of that and being like, oh, I love watching other people succeed, and I like being a part of that because I wanted to be a positive influence on whoever I was working with. And that's really how I started to think, oh, maybe this is something I want to do. But then I went back to my finances and I was like, there's no way. I was working at a studio. I was making $20 an hour. I was working my butt off, like teaching a lot, and I had another part-time job on the side, and I was managing a band. And I just was not making ends meet. There was no way I was ever going to move out of my parents' house, which, for my family, that would have been kind of normal, but I wanted to move out. I didn't want to live with my parents forever. So in 2008, I started Singsana, which is my studio now. And I did that because I moved in with my boyfriend, who's now my husband. And I had my own space in the house that we had together, our tiny little house that we had. And my studio was the size of a large bathroom, we'll say. Like very, very small. But you know what? I put a piano in there, I had a computer, I had a printer, and I had books, and we made it happen. And all of a sudden, I was in charge of my schedule. I was in charge of the content that I could put out there, the things we could do creatively, all of my recitals, which I don't use that word anymore. They are shows, baby. We don't do recitals here. We do shows, okay? And once I had that going on, I had a lot of demand. So there was no, I would take one new student every year, maybe two if someone graduated high school, and my schedule was completely full. After a few years, not after a few years, about 8 years after I started Singsana, we moved into a new house and I had much more space. So this meant group work could be a reality because I had the space, and if you look over my shoulder, you see the space, to have about 20 people in this room. So that's when I started Extremities. And so Extremities started because everyone's parents wanted in on our fun. And they were like, well, I want to sing, but I don't want to perform, and I don't want it to be a lot of pressure, and so it just started as like a night where we would just alternate who brought the wine, and we would sing songs, not even in harmony, and all of a sudden I was like, okay, well, let's add a couple of harmonies here. So I would just throw some out there on the fly, and they're like, wow, we sound really good, we should perform. And I was like, okay, guys, we're gonna have to curb the drinking and start actually practicing that. So that's really how Extremities evolved, and it's now to the point where like we perform in a bar, we have a live band, we have staging, we all are on wireless mics. Like, it has turned into something huge, and the people who are in it, some of them have been in it for 8 years, 9 years. They're just like lifers, and they keep wanting to elevate it, and I'm down. Like, I'm ready. You whatever level you want to do it at, let's do it. I'm here for it. And creatively, it's given me a chance. I mean, I arrange the music, and I have to chart it for the band, and so it has become more work. But it's very rewarding because everyone just feels like a rock star. And I mean, I even have that feeling sometimes. I am going to be 40 this year, woohoo! And where you're just like, am I cool? Like, I'm not really sure if I'm cool anymore. And being on stage wearing leather pants in front of a band, I feel pretty cool. So I'm happy to give that experience. But of course, during COVID, everything changed and I didn't have people here, but holy moly, did I have high demand for lessons because everybody wanted to partake in their their hobby, right? They had extra time. And so people who have been waiting to take lessons, I just was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do these lessons. We could do it online. It was super easy. I had people all over Canada, some in the US. And all of a sudden I was just like, I have no free time. I have 2 kids. I have no free time. And during the pandemic, my kids were 1 and 3.5. So it's not like they didn't have needs as well. And sometimes they were here. Like my husband was working upstairs and the other kid was upstairs. One was upstairs. It was a bit of a gong show. So, of course, as you know, I met Allie Tyler, as you have too. And I know you've had her as a guest on this podcast. And she exploded my brain because yeah, because as soon as she said, you don't have to teach only private lessons, you can offer services or products that make money that don't require more of your time. Now, I say this with a caveat because the things you create for online take time. And you have to carve out that time to create those things. But much like if I said to you, Melissa, 1 + 1 is 2, you'd be like, oh my God, it's that easy, right? And it really, once you have the answer for my personal self and my brain, I'm like, I have to do this. I have to know if this is real. And if I can, and now I have an online program. I have an online membership. I sell, past webinars online. I am able to have a little bit of, I don't like the word passive income that doesn't require as much of my time on a weekly basis, we'll say, because it's not entirely passive. I do work for it. And it's nice. And it's not because that money is the money I'm looking to fill my bank account. It's just nice extras to support the space that I have to create in order to keep those things going. So that's really, where it went to. So now we're going from teaching in a studio to running a studio to being a tech person, right? Learning technology to support your courses in a way that serves your customers in the easiest possible way. So that has all been a learning curve. And I really seriously feel like I'm still learning. As much as I have this part down, I don't have this part down. And it's a little bit of trial and error. I'm very grateful to have Allie's guidance because I can do the trial and error and have her say try this should work, just to have someone say it's okay. What you're putting out there is very, acceptable or reasonable, or no, it's great. Everyone needs a cheerleader. So that's really what she has been for the business for me. And that's where Singsana has evolved to. Now that said, I have another company.
Just keep telling us all the things because this is, I love it. Tell us.
So in 2015, the year my son was born, because I was really bored with a newborn, my business partner, best friend, confidant, mentor, Scott Henderson, and I decided to start a company called The Show. And The Show is a training program for singers and dancers. And the idea is that we bridge the gap between amateur and professional. So we're taking pre-professionals and we're trying to help them build the skills so they can eventually do professional work and professional gigs. Now, in Calgary, we have a unique problem in that we are not considered an arts hub city of Canada. What we are considered is up and coming, but we've been up and coming for so many years that what happens is as soon as a singer or dancer turns 18, they do one of 2 things. They quit because they go to university and they're like, I have to get an education. And they just stop doing their craft because their parents aren't paying for it anymore. Or they leave and they go to Vancouver, Toronto, LA, or New York. So really talented people don't live here anymore. They just leave or they quit. that is not going to enrich our cultural landscape. So our goal is to have a program that will keep them here. There are no programs for the 18 to 25-year-old who wants to do the, cruise ship style shows where you're singing pop music, there's dance in the background, it's variety shows, it's dynamic, you're doing both singing and dancing. There is a market for musical theater, but not everybody wants to sing Broadway style music, right? And there is a jazz dance company and there is a ballet company, but there's nothing that's like, we're going to train you to be the backup support for Beyonce. And so that's what we're trying to do. Of course, COVID shut us down. So we took a 2.5 year hiatus, and now we're relaunching because we received a $20,000 grant to relaunch the program. So that's what we're in the process of doing. And it is no small task. So the things just kind of keep piling on. And I also have 2 other contracts on the go right now where I am a vocal coach for an adult choir in Calgary called Red 52. They put on these amazing shows with live band. They're all on wireless mics. There's 50 singers. They're all some of them have been in this group for 30, 40 years, a really long time. And I also work on the Calgary Stampede Grandstand Show, which is a huge outdoor show, singing, dancing, sometimes Cirque du Soleil acts, sometimes there's motorcycles in the air, full fireworks, drone show. It is a big deal. So that started yesterday. So my brain is split in many different directions right now. And the goal for the summer is to bring everything back in, reflect, and decide which of these things have to be let go of. Because there's no way I can continue at this pace with 2 kids.
Okay, and this brings me to just a little bit more of first off, you're a rock star. You're an absolute rock star.
I'm a tired rock star.
You're a tired rock star, but I know somebody's listening thinking, can I do that? Or maybe they're kind of on the precipice of, I don't know if I should go for it. I hope this inspires you. Go for it. And it seems as though a lot of your success, like you said, has come from trial and error, just seeing what sticks to the wall, right? And so I'm glad that you talk about I recognize this is a lot. It's all it's all wonderful, but excuse me, but my plate is full. And one of the things that I know we really connected on was, even in our coaching teaching styles, we have so many similarities. And one of the biggest components of that is mindfulness and how to integrate that in the way that we do our art personally and the way we encourage our singers to do the same. And so as you're looking at your summer, and being like, all right, it's coming, right? Like that brain break. How are you able to practice mindfulness now? I mean, I think part of it is recognizing this is a lot, right? But even the name of your studio, Singsana, that's an integration. Tell me a little bit more about that and how you're trying to integrate this in your teaching as well as for yourself personally.
Yeah. So really funny, when I was starting Singsana, it was very hard to come up with a name for my business because I knew I wanted it to grow at some point. So I didn't want it to have my name in it. And I was really into yoga at the time, and I wanted people to treat singing like a meditation. So your asana is your position that you're in when you're meditating. So that's where the sana comes from, is asana. So I didn't want it to be singasana because it felt kind of funny. So I just made it Singsana. So the comfortable posture you're in when you're going to go into a singing meditation, as you would call it. It also happens that sana in Arabic means brilliance and splendor. So it's like sing, brilliance, and splendor. And I was just like, that's it. But it's a made-up word that I made up. I just took 2 words that I liked and put them together. So from the beginning, the mental wellness of my students and myself has always been a top priority. Now, I'm going to be totally honest. The people that get the best of me are the students. I don't personally get the best of me for myself. If I'm going to give up one thing, and this is a work in progress, I always give up my own mental wellness to serve the other people's mental wellness. And I'm still working on that. And kids have been a very good highlight to be like, there are more important things than taking on more work or being more known in the city or whatever I think I need to do as a teacher, I'll start with just reflecting on myself, and then I'll tell you how I incorporate it in my studio. So the problems that I run into is that I love every contract I have. When I'm there, I love it. I never leave drained. I'm always having fun. I love the people I work with. I love all of my superiors and peers and colleagues, and how do I say no to that? That's really where it is. But at some point, there's only a certain amount of hours in a day, and my children and my husband deserve a better version of me and more of me than they currently get. So that's really where the exercise of what is serving me positively when I'm at home, not when I'm there. Everything serves me positively when I'm there, and that's a gift of mine that I have, and that is that's a bad thing too. So, but in terms of mindset for the singer, I left university completely broken. I felt like I couldn't sing. I did a classical voice degree. I deliberately avoided singing classical music when I left university, and I turned to my first love, which was musical theater, and I took lessons and began auditioning for big things. And you know what? You want to know how many jobs I booked? 0. I booked 0 jobs. You know why? Because I was shaking so bad in auditions. What came out at an audition is not what came out when I was practicing. And I knew something needed to be fixed. And I always thought it was my singing that needed to be fixed, but it wasn't my singing. And many, many years later, in 2014, I was invited to an educator summit at Disney, and I met Dr. Jon Skidmore, and he changed my life. Seriously, he taught me his method, which is the Path to Peak Performance. And initially, I was so mad. I was like, why isn't this a standard class for every university performance, music, drama major? Mm-hmm. This is so valuable. I realized even in my own lessons as I was teaching that I wasn't focusing enough on mindset. I was focusing so much on skill set, and this flipped my studio completely on its head. And it was my mission not only to learn his method, but to give it to other people, and it changed the landscape of our lesson. So no longer were we just like, okay, how was your day? Good? You're good? Great, let's warm up, right? But it was, let's pick a card from our mindset deck. Oh, wow, you got, I am unique. Of course you're unique. I think you're unique because of XYZ. And we have a little discussion like that. The way we prepare for performances is different. I have an entire mindset wall where everyone puts their 3 positive trigger words, things like grounded, confident, calm, brave. And the method is so simple that even a child can do it. I do it with my son. He's 7. He plays the cello. His words of affirmation happen to be right in front of me. They're happy, calm, and brave. And he recites those before he performs, and we recite them every day for a week leading up to the performance. And that's how he has decided he's going to be in his performance. And so I do that with students, young, old, any level. I find the people who are really talented singers are the ones with the most anxiety because they have so much pressure on themselves to continue to deliver the high quality that they've always delivered in all their performances or auditions or whatever they've done. And so I've taken singers that have come in completely broken, thinking they can't sing or they're not worthy of getting a solo in their choir or they'll never get this part in a musical, to them continuing to audition or booking the roles or getting the job or just taking it upon themselves to book their own show. And that's such a win. And so now the preparation for a performance is, okay, step one, we've agreed to do the performance. Great. How do you want to be on stage? I want to be happy, calm, and brave. Great. What does that look like? Little paragraph. All right. Let's every day try to touch on either these trigger words or a visualization of you being your most radiant self on stage. Exactly how you want to be. And you really just rewire your brain. That's all it is. And it sounds so simple, but it requires discipline. And I think it's important that we don't look at discipline and free spirit and freedom as two different things, because the discipline gives you the freedom, right? So constantly touching on one thing daily, even if it's just for 2 minutes, will give you the freedom to be expressive, be bold, make interesting artistic choices on stage that the audience will be able to receive as you want them.
Yes. And I have to say, I have you to thank for introducing me to the work of Dr. Jon Skidmore, because I know for me personally, there was always this piece of mindset and everything that I was already doing. Then when I met him and I went to one of the classes, the free classes that you were offering, and I thought, oh yeah, it put skin on this bone structure that I was already kind of playing with. And like you said, it has unlocked so much for myself and for my singers as well. So it really, like you said, it's a practice. It's a practice. How are you going to find this practice for you? Like we've already talked about so many of your professional contracts, but there's also something really sweet and special going on for you personally as Lauren, the artist. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I would say that I haven't written as many songs as, the average artist. I still don't necessarily identify as a songwriter, but that is what I am. So I will say it here. I am a songwriter now. I released an album with my band in 2011, and it was original songs by myself and one of the other singers in the group. And that was incredibly vulnerable because those are the first songs I had ever written, like in 2011. And when I started doing that, I was like, didn't know really what to say or talk about, and my songs had a real musical theater vibe. So my best friend in the whole world, Michael, he decided that he wanted to write a play because he has suffered from ADHD his whole life, but he didn't get diagnosed until he was an adult. And it shed a lot of light for him, and he is a real advocate for people with ADHD and for, taking whatever steps you need to do your work in whatever way you need to do it. And he really wants, workspaces to be flexible with these neurodiversities that people have. And I've learned a lot about it since, just listening to him and reading. And so he wanted to write this play. And I said, you're not writing a play, you're writing a musical. Hello? We didn't sing Rent in your bedroom for 6 hours every summer so that you could write a play. No, you're writing a musical. And he's like, great, do you want to write the music? And I was like, Of course I said yes. I couldn't if that project was calling to me. I'm like, if I can write anything, I can write a musical. And then I went through so many ups and downs of like, I can't write a musical. I can write a musical. I can't write a musical. And, you know, he came to live with my family for, you know, 4 months during COVID. And we started outlining a story and started writing songs. And we had, I think, 3 songs by the time he left, and this story. And then all of a sudden, we hired a writer because, you know, there are challenges when you have ADHD to actually like put pen to paper and like get a cohesive project going. But that was a good move because she helped him stay on task, and that was something that he needed to do. But the story completely changed. So all of the songs we wrote got scrapped, and we had this fully fleshed out script ready to go. Now, we as individuals had challenges. I was launching my membership. Obviously, I have 2 kids. I've said that 100 times now. They're not my excuse. I love them dearly, and they just take time. And you know, he was having his own personal life challenges. And so I was kind of waiting for him to say like, hey, you want to get this music going? And he was waiting for me. And we didn't know we were waiting for each other. So there was like a 1.5-year period where nothing happened on this musical. And finally I was like, I'm just gonna start. And then I was like, I don't know where to start. So I called up my friend, Kenna Barima, and her and I went to university together. She was in a couple of grades ahead of me, and her business now is drawing songs out of people. And so she's now my songwriting coach, and I immediately started seeing her once a week for 2 hours. So we have a 2-hour session every Wednesday. And then every single day I wake up at 6 a.m. and I write from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. when my family wakes up to go to school. People think that's nuts, but you know what? Sometimes I come upstairs from my studio and I've written 2 lines, and sometimes I come upstairs and I've written a whole chorus. And have I ever written a song in an hour? No. Will I? No. But I can go through the rest of my day feeling like I did something for the musical, and I can move forward and just continue tomorrow. And I think I'm actually getting more done by not dwelling when I get stuck and just walking away and coming back with a fresh mind the next morning. And I am fresh at 6 a.m. Everyone's like, how do you do that at 6 a.m.? I'm like, it's so quiet and peaceful. I have a coffee. It's like, you know, I think you have talked about you journal in the morning.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
a morning bird for sure.
Right. So I don't do journaling for myself, but I ended up journaling on behalf of these characters that I'm going to write for. So I took the main character, who is a, you know, mid-30s man, and I became him. And I took the mom character, you know, who's a mid-60s hippie mom, and I wrote from her perspective. And I, you know, and that was how the song started to become rich. And I love having a songwriting coach, because all she says is, you don't have to write a musical, you just have to write a song, right? When I look at the macro, oh my goodness, it's too much. I can't even think. So there are 14 songs in the musical. I have fully written 3. I have ideas for the next 3. And she's like, just write the next one. Write the next one. I don't know how they string together. I don't have any musical motifs or themes yet. I just have a song. And the way I like to write, and the thing I love about musicals now, is a lot of the musical numbers can stand alone. So I think of like She Used to Be Mine from Waitress, and you're like, you could hear that on the radio. It can stand alone. You don't need the whole story to appreciate and love that song. And so I'm really trying to do that with all the songs that I write. And so this musical will have a real pop kind of vibe. It won't be, you know, really traditional in the musical sense. So I will keep you updated on how that goes, but it is my mission to write 14 songs with no necessary end point or end date in mind, but just keep putting one foot in front of the other, writing, even if I write one line every day, to do that because it is calling to me. I was anxious about it. And the more I pushed it aside, the more it was calling me. It
Wow.
was like, you need to do this. You have this thing. And it's not even that like I've agreed to do it and that's why I want to do it. It's like, no, no, you want to do it. You jumped at this. So go do it. And it's fun. Like I'm having fun by myself while I do it. So, I mean,
That's definitely part of your self-care right now is just you said something huge there. I think it's an approach we could all take. My gosh, when we're thinking of any goals, performance related or personal, about how anxiety inducing it can be to always think of the big picture and feel like we have to devour, the whole mountain. And so do you feel like that's giving you those windows of, yeah, okay. Like a little bit of perspective and helping you sort out even some of these other huge things that you're a part of?
yeah, it does because I'm starting. I mean, I'm always a big believer of small bite-sized things every day lead to big change. I mean, one of my programs is completely built on that, right? And like putting that into creativity is actually it actually works as well for that too because I never thought of that from a creative perspective. I always think of it from like a task check the box perspective, like make sure you move your body every day, make sure you meditate every day, make sure you do your singing every day, like I'm very good with those sorts of tasks because it's like I did this and it is done, right? Whereas the creative process is like, I did this and it might not get used and it might be erased tomorrow and it might turn out that this is garbage or it might turn out that this is brilliant. You just don't know what it's going to be until you share it with other people. I'll share it with Michael and I share it with my songwriting coach. She sends me these hilarious videos like screaming at me that she's so excited. It's nice to have a coach like that. Yeah, and now bringing that back to reflecting on the space that I have in my life, and I would love it if I didn't have to get up at 6 a.m. and I could just like find an hour in the day to do that. So those are the things I'm going to reflect on. I don't know if you feel this way, but I find so our year is, September to June. That's the school year. That's really my operational year. And then the summer's a bit of a free for all for programs and students. And sometimes I just take time off. But there's always planning that goes into what's going to happen in September. But I feel sometimes like I'm stuck. Whatever I have set myself up for right now, I'm stuck with until June. And so I'm in that little space there where I'm like, I've agreed to all these things, so I have to do them. And then in June, reevaluate and like keep reminding myself, you can't do that this time, and you can't do this time, and this is what you need to do instead, So my June is like the new year for me. January is not. I don't care about January 1st. June
Same.
June 30th, I'm like, okay, it's a new dawn. What is happening now?
I love that. I love that. I totally get that in terms of those rhythms that we set up for ourselves, especially having kids, school age kids, right? Like
Yeah.
mine are about to go to middle and high. Their schedule is just going to get earlier here where we live in the States. I'm already looking ahead at like, oh my gosh, by 7:30, there will be no children in this house. Like that's nuts to me. So I'm kind
Yeah.
of like thinking of, ooh, what am I gonna get done? Because I'm like just like
Yeah. Totally.
I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you to be able to have that, get to June 30th. And I think we've gotten some nuggets here about how to like just stay, somebody may look at that 6 a.m. be like you said, That's not me. Maybe theirs is 9 p.m., you know? But like you said, do you find, okay, is there ever a day that you haven't done that and then you notice the way you feel the rest of the day?
Honestly, I am so obsessed with getting a good sleep that if I know I'm not going to get a good sleep, I will prioritize sleep over that. But I have a very good routine. So I know what time the lights have to go out for me to be okay with 6 a.m.
Mm.
So if I am having a really late night, like I don't do the 6 a.m. on weekends, for example. I will find time in the day where I'm just say to my family, like, I'm just gonna step away. And then I just go downstairs for a bit. My husband is building an airplane. He steps away all the time to build an airplane. So
Wow.
he'll he'll say, I'm just gonna go work on the airplane now, and he'll leave for an hour. And then he'll come back, he's in the garage, and then he'll come back and I'll be like, okay, now I'm gonna leave for an hour. And then we'll kind of do it like that. So we we value each other's hobbies and give each other space on the weekend to do that. Or some weekends nothing happens. And you know what? That's okay, because Monday morning at 6 a.m., I'm going to hit it again. So it's just whatever. The weekend is sort of a crapshoot. You don't know what the weekend is going to bring. And if you don't plan for it, then you don't feel bad that you didn't do it.
Exactly. Exactly. And even just saying, that's okay. Being
Yeah.
at peace, with that's okay. Knowing that you're going to get back to it. That's huge. And that's a space that I think is a dance for us, especially us busy performers or busy, voice professionals, being okay with the, I can lay that down for just a second, just a moment or a day and be at peace moving on. That's awesome, Lauren. That's super exciting. Can't wait to hear more about those special projects. So keep us posted for sure. Okay, so you mentioned like a few memberships things. Tell us what you do, all of your offerings in terms of, what you have going on and how we can work with you.
Oh, so nice. Yeah. So, firstly, one-on-one lessons. So, I do these online and I do them in person as well. I also have my extremities group, which is an adult group that is in person only. So, I'm sorry if you would like to join, you have to live here. I also have a program called Sing for Six, which is 6-minute vocal workouts that you can do every day. And I am up to 168 videos available. And so we do a live one every week over Zoom, and that gets recorded and put in the dashboard as well. So if you're looking for something a little bit deeper, we do a stretch, we do a mindset prompt, we do the vocal workout, and people can ask questions. Those are 15 minutes long. So the library has been built on the 6-minute video, but now these live sessions are what's kind of keeping the library fresh. So I do that. That's a monthly subscription that people would pay. And then I have my Infinite Singer membership, which I have not actually launched yet. So this is kind of like the official launch. And what's happening with that is I have singers who have access to a bunch of educational videos. We have our own Slack channel where we talk privately. They can DM me videos of themselves and then I give them video feedback. And I almost feel like this is a better service than private lessons because I can rewind a bunch of times and be like, oh, I'm noticing you're doing this, or oh, we should try working on this, or why don't you go look at the video about breathing and go see that and go review that and then try to apply some of those techniques to this song. And we kind of go through that, or I'll say, hey, let's try it in a new key. I'm just going to play the first verse and chorus for you here, sing along to me, and then go get the karaoke track in the right key. And then I can, help with that. We also do office hours once a month and a masterclass once a month, all online. So you get a lot of me if you actually participate in the program. And we recently just incorporated a singing prompt of the week. So I'll give them a prompt like, sing a song that was popular the year you were born, or sing a song with a color in the title. And they will put videos of themselves singing in the public chat, which is nice because they get so much positive feedback. And I tell them, don't do more than 3 takes, pick your best take. don't practice the song. Sing a song you know, and just like karaoke hour, go sing it for us, submit it. You could sing it a cappella, it doesn't matter. There are no rules, low production. I don't care if you even, dress up, So just get your voice out there, share your voice. And the feedback has been so positive. It's brought everyone so close because some people tell us stories ahead of their little post. I have this like lovely member, and he was like, this song makes me really sad because it reminds me of my mom who passed away, and we used to sing this song together. And of course, he's revealing this in our group chat, which like brings out I only attract loving and compassionate people. And so it brings out the, sweetness in everybody. And it's been a really, really great addition to this membership. So that's Infinite Singer coming at you in the summer for sure. And then I have musical theater group for teens. That's in person. So we are in festival Saturday. We'll be there all day doing all of our musical theater things with costumes, accompanists, and all that. We have an acting coach that works with the students as well. And then, wait, is that it? That's it. That's what we got. Oh, yes. Also, I host a lot of mindset webinars with Dr. Jon Skidmore, and I actually have packaged all of our previous webinars into one course that you can take. So you get, his book, the 30-day journal, all the resources, all the worksheets, everything that comes with it, and the 4 webinars that we did this past year, all in one nice little bow. So if you need some more mindset work, honestly, even the replays, you will get so much out of. I think you've watched a replay.
Yes, I can attest. I was watching the 30-day to your peak performance, just last week, actually. And I was sitting there waiting for my kid at ballet, and I was like, let me go catch up. So I highly, highly recommend. Lauren, where can we find you online and on socials?
You can find me at Singsana, SINGSANAYYC. On Instagram, or www.singsana.com, SINGSANA.
Awesome. Yeah. You're amazing. You're amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. And yes, please go check out Lauren's work. And Lauren, I'm going to put it out in the universe. Hopefully within the next year or 2, I can get up there. You can get down to me, or we'll meet in the middle.
My goodness, please come visit me, or else I will come and visit you. We have to schedule this.
Yes, we do. All right. Love you, lady. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.